Okay, that's cool and all, but how do you actually play it? Did someone say DT guide? Well son, let me tell you. What's going on everybody, it's me Stzer here, and today we're gonna revisit an old video of mine. That's right, because while I still think that the video was good, there were some things which I just didn't cover, so I want to redo it. So now, you don't have to watch the old one anymore. But you're here for the guide, so let's get to that. Alright, let's start by quickly introducing the mod. So, what is DT? DT is an Oath mod, probably the most important one. It's one of the only two which multiply your score by 1.12. But more importantly, it also increases your PP by a lot. But that's because it also makes the song way harder, cause just as the name suggests, it speeds it up by 1.5 times. And yeah, you heard that right. But on my old video, I got like 100 comments trying to explain why it does make sense. And I mean, they're right, playing maps at twice their speed would be way too hard. But that's not the point. Don't call it double if it isn't twice as fast. Anyways, it doesn't just speed up the song, it actually speeds up everything. So both your approach rate as well as your hit window will become shorter. So that's basically why AR can go up to 11. And also, why my DT scores all have bad AC. Well, that and me just being a bad player. I mean, look over there, free PP. Phew, almost lost you there. Anyways, when should you start? Well, it's hard to say, cause while I wouldn't recommend it, you could technically start playing nothing but DT from the moment you get into Oath and still eventually make it to rank 1, cause it's also an endgame playstyle, but it probably wouldn't really make sense to start using DT until you can comfortably play regular 4-star maps. So you'll at least be able to DT on the easier 3 stars, but now that we've got that covered, let's get into how to actually play the mod. I mean, yeah, basically. But if that was all it took, you wouldn't be here now, would you? When starting to play DT, there are two main hurdles you will have to face. Faster circles and faster AR. Accuracy isn't really going to be something you'll have to worry too much about in the beginning, cause it will be worse than your Nomad one. But your skill didn't decrease, the window just got tighter, but no worries, you'll get used to that just by playing more. So let's focus on the faster circles first. This also has two aspects, hitting them and tapping them. Don't worry, it'll make sense, but let's start with the tapping. When you play DT, you'll sometimes come across maps where the nodes are just faster than you can tap them, which more often than not is actually because of the map's BPM. And sadly, the star rating does a really poor job in reflecting that, but some maps just aren't made to be played with DT. 1/2 at 300 BPM is the same as 1/4 at 150. So the maps you'll typically see recommended to be played with DT almost always have low BPM and little to no bursts. But if you still want to play the high BPM stuff, that's cool, cause it makes you more than just a farmer, but you'll kinda need to approach it similarly to increasing your speed when streaming. Start low and work your way up, but most importantly, never mash. Not on bursts and especially not on jumps, cause if you do that, please stop, it'll just ruin your consistency. Another thing you can do, which is going to help you at higher BPM, is just to start alternating. But unless you already do, it's going to be a major playstyle change, so you might want to avoid that. But basically, just as when learning streams, just find whatever BPM you can comfortably play and then slowly increase that. However, because Oath has an amazing search function, you can't just search the BPM you want to play. Instead, divide it by 1.5 and search that. Seriously Peppy, please fix. But now, let's get to how to hit them. Now because DT increases the map speed, it also makes it so you'll have to move the cursor faster, which is going to be hard, but there are a bunch of things you can do to help with that. And funnily enough, none of them even require you to use the mod. The first thing I would recommend you do is play jump training maps. That's because their jumps typically have bigger spacing than you would find in normal maps, which will help you get used to moving your cursor faster. What I would also recommend you do is just play harder no-mod maps. Cause when you play DT, the patterns you'll encounter will actually be pretty easy, they'll just be really fast. And if you can play harder patterns, you'll have an easier time with the easy ones. You'll also need to be able to just comfortably read the AR, but don't worry, I've got an entire segment going over that. Okay, so let's talk about approach rate. It can basically go from 0 all the way up to 11. Sadly, the game doesn't directly show you how DT affects your AR, but there's a cool little trick you can do to calculate it. Just take the base approach rate, multiply it by 3, then add 5 and divide it by 3 again. Or if you want to be a really smart cookie, just add 5/3. But basically, it's enough if you know the common ones. And I'll just assume that you can already play AR9, cause if not, you shouldn't really be here yet. Anyways, the ones you want to focus on are going to be 9.6 and 10, as they are going to be the most common ones you'll encounter. And once you can play those, you really don't need to go any further for quite a while. Cause 10.3 to 11 won't become relevant until you get really good. Like, up to the mid 6 stars, you can still find easier maps which are 9.6 to 10. But now, let's go over how you can learn it. Alright, this is going to be a fun one, cause you won't be playing any O's. Instead, what you want to do is go to Steam and download MCOs, which basically is like an O simulator. But what's important is that it offers you some extra features which regular O's just doesn't have. And yeah, while you could technically get the same results with the fun orange speed changer, that would just be way too much work. But basically, what you want to do is just take a Nomad map which you can comfortably play and just set the AR to as high as you can read. And after every playthrough, just increase it by 0.1 and then go again. But when you get to the AR you want to learn, don't stop there. Instead, go 1 or 2 steps further and then practice that. And once you can play it on that map, just move on to the next one, but keep the approach rate the same. And you want to do this over and over again until you start getting comfortable with it, and that's going to be the point where you go to the AR you actually wanted to learn. Cause now that you've played with an even higher approach rate, it's kind of like taking a step back, so it's going to be a lot easier. So for this step, pick DT maps you can already play, but set the AR to what you want to learn. And instead of increasing the AR with every successful attempt, just move on to a slightly harder map. And you want to do this separate because, like this, you'll only ever tackle one problem at a time. First the AR, and then the speed. Cause otherwise there'll just be too many hard things at once which can overwhelm you. And that's basically it, but before we move on to the next segment, some general words of advice. Don't even bother with AR11, cause let's be real here, if you watch this guide, you probably aren't at the point yet where you would need it. Like, sure, it's cool and all to say that you can read the fastest AR, but seriously, focus your resources on the parts which matter more. When playing DT, another issue you might run into is going to be your consistency, but here I've got just a bunch of general tips which can help with that. If you really struggle with your accuracy while playing DT, you might want to consider just playing Hardrock for a while. Cause it also increases the OD, but it doesn't speed up the song, so you're once again separating your issues and then tackling them one at a time. Plus, it also helps you with the AR if you can't play 10 yet. Also, if you don't just want to turn into a DT1 trick, you might want to avoid only playing ringtone or TV-sized maps, cause DT just makes them even shorter. So, good luck with playing long maps after that. And lastly, something which isn't really related to consistency, but I wouldn't know where else to put it. Learn Hidden. Seriously, I wish I could properly play it myself, but if you can't, it's literally just leaving PP on the table. So go out and learn it. Sadly, I can't give you a guide for it cause I suck at it myself, but I'm sure you can figure it out. Anyways, this basically covers every... Wait, there's actually one more thing. Hey you, do you enjoy eating glue? Well if so, Nightcore's the mod for you. Nightcore's basically the functionally identical special snowflake brother of DT. There isn't really any point to it, and it sounds awful, but whatever, it's here, so if you want it, go wild. Honestly, there isn't much else left to say about it. So with this, we've reached the end of today's video. I really hope you've enjoyed and found it helpful, and if you did, please don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. And if you have any other great suggestions for how to learn DT, please definitely leave them in the comments down below, and with that, see you next time.